There are various ways into sailing, and on sailworld.com and yachtsandyachting.com we've talked a lot about participation and junior and youth programs and also adult programs at clubs around the world. This is slightly different. Someone involved in the marine industry, but they come into their job with no background on the water but wanted to get involved. We're here at the Southampton International Boat Show 2024 on the Flexi Sail stand with GJW Direct's Luke Marsh, who came into the marine industry without any previous experience on the water. But since then has started paddleboarding, completed his Powerboat 2 course and qualification, and has recently finished his RYA Dinghy Level 1 and 2 at Rockley Watersports. So Luke, I understand, before you started at GJW Direct, you had a phobia of open water. How have you overcome this?
Yeah, so my phobia was actually so bad, I couldn't, it sounds crazy, but I couldn't have my eyes shut in the shower. It was, it was really bad, and it was kind of affecting my life in such a way I thought, I've really got to do something about this. So I did what any typical English person would do, and I waited for New Year's Day, and I thought I'd go for a dip. So I managed to get my ankles in that time, and since then I've kind of done this graded exposure thing of just trying to go each week and going a little bit more each time, and that's been really helpful for me. So much so I was able to do about an hour and a half in the water in Croatia last week. So yeah.
So things really improving there. Your first qualification in boating was the Powerboat 2 course. How useful has this been to understanding being on the water?
Yeah, I think for me it was kind of that general information. For that it was the things like the wind, the tidal patterns, that kind of thing. Also rules of the road, so knowing kind of who's got right of way, where to be, that kind of thing. That was very, very important. And I guess the worst case scenario, I'd recommend it to everyone. Worst case scenario, you're going to have a lot of fun doing it as well.
You also paddleboard. Did you find this experience useful for when you first sailed?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me was the balance. So that was definitely a help, and I kind of did this inland because obviously I did have this natural phobia of open water, and whilst I was still terrified of getting out there, it was super fun to do that, and I kind of still wanted to translate that into sort of the coastal scene. And I think the thing there was launching the sup boards, slipways, that kind of thing, and also the safety side of things, the aspects that was really important, and definitely a good learning that kind of translated into the sailing scene as well.
Now, coming on to your RYA dinghy course at Rockley, I understand on the first day of the course you capsized. Do you think this was a benefit or hindrance for your confidence in sailing?
Yeah, I guess it depends on who you ask, to be honest. For me, it was really, really good, and to get it out of the way so early on. I had a lot of people say it was an unsinkable or uncapsizable, even unsinkable. So that was I kind of wore that as a bit of an accolade, to be fair. But actually, it was really good to get it out of the way because I'd kind of built up this image in my head that it was going to be this terrifying, awful experience, and the reality is I just got a little bit wet, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. However, I think the others on the course may not have been as amused as I was, but it was all in good humour.
Your course was predominantly in high winds. How did you find this?
Yeah, I think actually I found it a lot of fun. First and foremost, I think once I'd established the fact that I'm going to get wet and I'm going to go in the drink, that is just almost an occupational hazard at that point. But I think I'm probably on the slightly heavier side. So for me, it actually helped me, being a little bit heavier, to actually keep the boat more balanced, and then just adjusting the sail setting and pointing the boat into the right direction. For me, that was kind of a big thing, and it was a lot of fun when we'd had the sails reefed in for most of the time because it was quite high wind, and we took them out for me, and it was a lot of fun, and I was going, you know, relatively fast for a fusion, to be honest. So yeah, it's good.
Sounds great to me. What knowledge have you learned on the RYA Dinghy 1 and 2 courses?
Yeah, I think similar to what I was just sort of talking about, the sail settings, you know, and definitely wind direction is it's a little bit more important than when you're on a powerboat. So you know, for me, those were kind of the key takeaways. Again, kind of sort of translating those rules of the road, that kind of thing. It was very, you know, those things were really, really useful, and also obviously rigging the boat and actually learning how to sail. So, yeah.
Did you have a least favourite manoeuvre at all?
Oh yeah, jibing. It was just not fun. In fact, that's kind of how I capsized. My tack turned into a jibe very quickly. So yeah, that was definitely my least favourite manoeuvre.
And would you suggest this route for others joining the marine industry who don't have experience out boating?
Absolutely, yeah. I think you know, it's something that I would say, whilst I appreciate that many people see this as quite basic, and you know, and it may be, actually for me, and certainly for, you know, for a lot of people, I think it would be, you know, getting that confidence on the water. You know, as an adult, I'm sure, you know, there's many grassroots things where the children will come up and they would have been sailing for ages, but actually as an adult getting out on the water almost for the first time, you know, that for me was the perfect route to go down, and having that split between the power and also sail. It's you know, having both, I think, complement each other in different ways, and yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone.
And do you think it's helped you in your job at GJW Direct?
Oh, hugely. You know, there's a lot of nuances in this industry, you know, and I'm not from a boating background. So, you know, for me, it's learning those nuances, actually knowing how to sail, and being able to kind of relate to the audience that we have, sailors, boaters, whoever it may be. You know, for me, that's really, really important, and has helped me tremendously in my job.
And you're actually pretty well qualified in sailing now, with a couple of dinghy courses, your Powerboat 2 course. You're looking at any further boating qualifications?
Oh yes, yeah, it can't stop here. I'm actually going to do my day skipper, so I've got my theory pretty much booked for the sort of the tail end of this year, and I'll be looking at doing my practical very, very soon after that. And then who knows, maybe it's my yacht master at some point. I might need a few more years for that, and I think I might be getting ahead of myself, but definitely soon, for sure.
And with that, do you think you're going to be out on the water again soon?
I just can't stop the feeling. I'm always wanting to get out on the water now, whether it's supboarding, whether it's in it, you know, whether it's sailing. I do find I've got a bit of an itch to scratch with sailing, for sure. That really resonated with me massively. So yeah, I think definitely I just want to be out there all the time.
Well, Luke, it's fantastic to see someone coming into boating from a background where you hadn't been out really at all on the water. And so many thanks indeed for your time and for sharing your routine with us.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you for watching today, as well as covering all of the big events such as the Vendée Globe, the America's Cup Sail GP and the Olympics. We also try to bring you stories as to how to get into sailing. And it's an important part of what we do on sailworld.com and yachtsandyachting.com. So please do subscribe to our channel, and also try to get involved yourself in sailing. There are opportunities out there in clubs, and as you've just seen with Luke, if you get involved in the industry, you can get into your sailing yourself.